Welcome back, everyone. Dito sa latest episode ng Deep Dive, we have with us, of course, one of our very special guests, just former Associate Justice of the Supreme Court of the Philippines, Antonio Carpio. Thank you so much, Justice, for joining us again.
Thank you, Richard, for having me again, and pleasant day to our viewers.
Thank you so much, Justice, for making the adjustments. Apparently, 8 hours behind na, hindi na ako 7 hours behind. May daylight adjustment pala the other day. So thank you also for slightly adjusting in terms of time. Justice, marami tayong pag-usapan. Obviously, I want to talk about the latest budget. You have raised certain concerns about the latest budget. May on-program funds na naman ba? What are the liabilities for the president? You never know. Maybe the president will watch this episode. That maybe you want to give an open advice. Funny business there. Let's get this right. Let's get the 2026 budget right. If indeed hindi natutuwa ang presidente natin sa nangyari with the previous budget and all the corruption and fraud control projects. Gusto ko rin pag-usapan yung kaso, yung petition to the Supreme Court to rule the ICI as unconstitutional, or at least look at the constitution of the ICI based on the precedents of the Supreme Court's ruling on the Truth Commission ni Cory. But before I go there, Justice, let's start with a couple of interesting development. Una-una, Justice, um, what is your read of ICI recommendation against a couple of high-profile legislators? I think the Zaldico one is no surprise at all. But Joel and Jinggoy, mukhang hindi na safe talaga. I mean, I was expecting justice after Joel Villanueva's very inspiring speech, sonorous address to his followers and devout followers the other week. Especially yung mga videos niya kung saan pinakita niya na he's really against corruption, na talagang he's a man of integrity and transparency. That perhaps the ICI would think twice about even insinuating anything against him when it comes to good governance. And Jinggoy has been quiet, very quiet si Jinggoy over the past 2 weeks. Hindi na siya nagwawala. And yet, nangyari yan. Justice, what is your read of this? Because a lot of people are saying, okay, this is good, but what about the other senators and congressmen? Is this going to be the first wave pa lang?
Yeah, I think, well, actually, this is second list. There will be more. That's what the chair of the ICI stated. And of course, Jinggoy and Joel Villanueva cannot escape from that list because the testimonies of Bryce Hernandez, of Henry Alcantara, and of uh, Robert Bernardo all point to these two people. No, uh, it's difficult. They have to be included.
I mean, how serious is this? I mean, do you think, I mean, from your reading, sapat lang ba itong mga recommendations? Do you think this could pave the way for a speedy dispensation with justice? Anong basa mo, Justice? Are we moving fast enough, strong enough?
Yeah, well, it's fast enough. There are two sets of respondents already submitted by the ICI to the ombudsman, and of course, this is only partial, no, and we cannot expect them to be submitting everything at the same time. But it's good that they're submitting as it progress.
Absolutely. And Justice, do you feel na should we anticipate soon that other senators and congressmen and big individuals will be involved given yung scale nitong corruption scandal nito? Obviously, I think 2, 3, 4 is just probably scratching the surface if yun lang habulin nila.
Yeah, because uh, the DPWH people involved in the Bulacan area. You have there Bryce Hernandez and Henry Alcantara, and of course Yusek Bernardo. They all talk about Bulacan. So I think there are more people that will be included, and that's only one province, no? So I think there will be more definitely.
There'll be more. Justice, of course, walang kinalaman at all itong sasabihin kong next na individual dito sa mga in-expect natin sa next wave. But Justice, how did you find the SALN na hindi natuwa yata sinasabi ko. How do you find the SALN na mga yung mga senators? Because base dito sa SALN na to, biglang nawala yung light ko. Base dito sa salin na to, Jesus Cader is the poorest senator. I can believe it. He's even poorer than Riza Ontiveros, Justice. Um, which obviously made many people tumaas ng kilay ng taong bayan. How on earth is cheese the poorest? When you even look at the single picture of cheese, I see way more than like a certain amount. I don't want to even bring the whole gang into the picture. And I'm sure, being an influencer and all can earn you some money. But, I don't know about the things you're seeing. Ewan ko lang, Justice. Wala naman super mayaman sa atin. But
Well,
some
maybe
people found it interesting. Yeah.
because maybe he gifted
Naubos.
gifted the wife with that $1 million ring. The what do you call
Naubos.
that? There's a name for it, paraiba,
Ay, yun nga eh, Justice. But,
tourmaline.
exactly dahil sa kanila, naging high fashion na rin tayo. Uy, ano yan? Ito pa yung Dolce Gabbana,
And
ganun, Bulgari.
and the other thing there, Richard, is he should be reporting the community of property assets. That should include the assets of the wife, no, not only his. If they have a separation of property, still the guidelines require that the list of properties of the wife that are separate should be attached. There should be a listing of the separate properties of the wife. But I don't think he did that, not because there's no report on that. Probably he did, but it was not reported by the press. No.
Kasi baka pwede naubos yung pera mo sa kaka-gift mo sa minamahal mo sa buhay. Kaya 18 kaya sabi, ano kayang, parang based dun sa nakikita, ano kayang salin niya last year nung bago tong gift na to? Anong, nung the other year? So, kailangan conjugal, Justice, kailangan ilagay both.
Yes, they're probably in the community of property, but they have to include both, no? Not only if they have a prenuptial agreement, uh, still the separate property of the wife should be included, should be attached, no? That's in the guidelines to prepare your SALN.
Interesting. So, pwede palang ganun. Para pala siyang yung joint account ni Harry Roque at saka si Supranational. Parang ganun. Kailangan may transparency sa mga joint accounts.
Yeah, that
Just,
is required under the rules of the SALN, the guidelines of civil service. You have to, if if you have a prenuptial agreement, what is yours, what is mine. Then you have to list so that people will not be confused. No.
I thought kasi what is yours, what is mine. But what is yours, we share. What is mine is mine, what is yours. Parang yung ginagawa ng China sa atin sa West Philippine Sea. What is mine is
Well,
mine. What is yours?
since he gave a $1 million ring, what is his is hers.
Eh. Baka naman pala siya, Green Hills pala yung pero kahit Green Hills yan, parang putting all of them together. Hindi naman, wala tayong sinasabi. No, it's just like she's as the poorest senator, it's just medyo mahirap talaga. Nakakataas kilay talaga. Pero yun nga, baka naubos or something. No, so
But
yeah.
he has a lot of generous friends. He got a 30 million donation from Lubiano,
So,
the
poor
owner
siya, pero mayaman sa mga
of
kaibigan.
Centerways Construction.
Right. So he's a poor senator but he's rich in friendship and love. Parang gusto ko rin yan, Justice Garvey. Yun ang magiging New Year resolution ko. I want to be rich in love dahil mahirap din ako katulad nila. Well, Justice, so that's why, so valid also for people to say na baka Kiko should also release kasi celebrity yung wife niya, si Sharon Cuneta. Kasi Kiko's amount was also pretty, I would say, modest.
Yeah, they should include because if it looks like that they have separate properties, no? Uh, the properties of the wife, if they have a prenuptial agreement, should also be included. That's in the guidelines.
And Justice, what are the rules if ever hindi truthful yung SALN mo? Medyo may konting polishing,
Well,
embellishment nangyari.
the rule there, if you have an omission, in the law, there is supposed to be a committee that will review and will tell you, "Uy, kulang, you did not include this, the properties of your wife. Please submit a list of properties." There's a review committee. Uh, so that the review committee in the Senate should look into that. No?
Interesting. Yeah, interesting. So the senators will look at their own sino? It's like, si Sir Ronald, si Sec Ronald nga, kinakalculate niya kasi marami siyang marites. Eh, di ba may Forbes itong bahay na to? Bakit 100 lang itong ganito? Eh, yung bahay pa lang niya, 1 billion niya. Buti pa si ano, no? Si Senator Raffy Tulfo, ba't yung mga watch niya, luxury niya, sinama nila dun sa sala niya. Very transparent, no? Bilyonaryo pala itong mga Tulfo na to.
Billion. It's a
Billion.
billion.
Para yung mga ano lang, accessories lang, bilyones na, para ibang klase.
Alam mo, may ano may sa BIR, they have what you call the net worth method.
Oh, right.
So, so if you have accumulated so much assets,
And then yung tax
magbayad
mo
ka ba
maliit.
ng income tax for that, no?
Oh. Kahit gift, what about kung gift lahat yung mga watches sa'yo, gift lahat yung mga
Well,
luxury?
there should be a donor. Well, between the husband and the wife, since actually it's both their funds, no. If it's a community of property, wala nang ano, hindi na tax yun. Parang sila binili ng husband yon, parang for their that should be listed as part of their community
Ah,
property.
right. What if yung friends mo binigyan ka ng mga gandang mga bagay? Should they like write something about that? Sabi natin they gave it to you when you were not a senator or a politician.
When you become senator, you have to include that as as your property going in, joining
Ay
the
going in,
government.
so i-compare mo sa pre-Senate
Yes.
salary. Interesting, interesting. Oo nga eh, parang sorry Justice, hindi ko pa rin makalimutan yung joint account ni Harry
Yeah,
Roque. Diba?
because if you have that kind of assets and your liabilities are very small or very low, that means your net worth is high. So how did you accumulate that if you did not pay income taxes all these years? No,
Interesting. It's very interesting. Well, at least kudos sa
they
mga ibang
call that
senator.
the net
Honest.
worth method. Net worth method.
Yeah, exactly. Oof. Interesting times talaga, Justice, no? Um, Justice, let's talk about hindi, wag na lang, baka maano tayo. Justice, let's talk about the petition at the Supreme Court to question to examine whether constitutional itong ICI na to. Ano ba nangyari diyan? Kasi maraming taong naging skeptical kasi yung banks nung high school teacher na nag-file ay similar sa banks ni Barzaga. Hindi ko alam kung napansin mo, Justice, yung nag-file ng kaso sa nasa Supreme Court about SM. Pero may banks din siya na parang Barsaga. So people were wondering kung DDS to. Pero pina-crown check naman tao. In fairness naman, lumaban to kay Cynthia Villar, although natalo. Mukhang kakampink naman daw or at least progressive, whatever. What's going on there, Justice? Can we talk about yung nangyari sa Truth Commission ni Aquino? Bakit yun na-rule ng unconstitutional? Yung equal protection clause. Can we discuss that?
Yeah,
What is that
in the
history and then
case
what is the relevance here?
in the case of the Aquino Truth Commission, the period to be investigated applied only to the term of the immediately preceding president. So, ang sabi ng Supreme Court, that's discriminatory. You're targeting.
Selective.
So, that's why it was declared unconstitutional. Ito naman, it covers two. Only the present and also the immediate since 2016. So I don't think that's targeting. In fact, you're hitting your own during your own term, no? So and because there's a reason for that, because it looks like that these flood control projects really started significantly in 2016, no? Before that, it was not that a big a problem, although there were already. So I think this will this will uh, this will not be declared unconstitutional. This will pass the test.
So you're confident dahil unlike sa Truth Commission, hindi naman siya nagta-target lang ng previous administration. Although
Yes.
maybe I'm geeking over this a little bit, but my understanding is that from Marcos to Aquino, this is Corazon Aquino, right? From Marcos to Aquino, wasn't that like a regime change? That you were no longer talking about administrative, but you're talking about a different regime altogether. Therefore, you're basically a new democratic regime trying to hold the previous regime accountable. Hindi ba dapat ganun? Maybe this is the political scientist in me going against the jurisprudential legal mind in you. But for me, that was a special case kasi it's a regime change eh. Hindi lang siya...
Well,
Mm.
in the case of the Truth Commission, they were only investigating the immediately preceding 6 years, the term of GMA only. So the court said that is
Sorry, this
selective.
is Pinoy pala, no? This is Pinoy. Okay.
Yeah, Pinoy.
Yeah, I'm
It's
sorry. Kaya nga
Pinoy.
sabi ko, hindi to pwede Corazon Aquino kasi ibang regime. Pinoy, yes, exactly. That makes sense. Yeah, it's because it's administration to administration. So, Justice, you're confident na itong ICI will pass the test of constitutionality.
Yes, I think
Um,
it will pass a test.
Having said that, should there be any concern that it will parang the Supreme Court could maybe tell the ICI to make some adjustments or the executive order? Pwede ba sabihin ng Supreme Court, eto medyo i-tighten mo dito yung executive order mo, or maybe they will judicially try to confirm or affirm its constitutionality? Like, how do you see that? To give legitimacy
Well,
dito sa ICI na ito?
well, I think there's nothing wrong with the EO creating the ICI. It does not target any single administration. So, and it does not exercise any power that is not with the president. So, I think there's nothing wrong with it, actually.
So you seem to be overall fine with the constitutionality of ICA. So ngayon, pag-usapan naman natin yung operation ng ICA. So Justice, how do you find the evolution of ICA? Kasi it has gone through a lot of iteration. The latest iteration is gagawin na nilang public. Isa sa publiko nila yung mga hearings. Don't you think, Justice, there's a risk there of posturing, grandstanding, or even pre-hearing cover-ups dahil sa magiging inevitably political and public nature of this, or do you think this is going to be a straightforward transparency improvement
Well, well,
move?
I think it will be straightforward because you expect grandstanding if politicians are trying to uh, project themselves, but I don't think they will be projecting themselves here, no. And also, when you have lawyers trying to impress the world, but they will not be asked by the panel. I mean, this is fact finding, so I don't think that will be a problem.
So, Justice, where do you think the ICA is gonna go from now in terms of working with the Ombudsman and Department of Justice? Parang hindi pa rin clear sino maging next Secretary of Justice. I mean, I know, Justice, you want to be very neutral about this, but do you think it makes sense like someone like Claire Castro will be the Department of Justice Secretary, or someone who's close to the former Justice Secretary Remulla so that they work better together? Like, are there candidates you have in mind, or like what kind of person should do you think should be in charge of the DOJ in the coming year? Basically, mga twilight years ni BBM.
Well, actually, the this is really the show now of the uh, ombudsman because the ICI is just fact finding, and that will just help the ombudsman instead of doing his own fact finding. He can just use uh, the results of the fact finding of the ICI, or that will shorten his fact finding period because he has already a lot of facts gathered through the ICI. So in that way, it helps. It will be helping. The ICI will be helping the ombudsman because normally the ombudsman starts with fact finding and then proceed to a preliminary investigation. So the fact finding is done wholly or partly by the ICI. It will it will expedite the proceedings in the ombudsman so that he can file now with the Sandigan Bayan. And most of these cases will be the Sandigan Bayan because under the charter of the Sandigan Bayan, they have exclusive original jurisdiction if only if at least one of the defendants has a salary grade of 27. And in most of these cases, you have the uh, regional director of the DPWH. His salary grade is above 27. And you have the USEC. USEC Bernardo is salary grade 29. No? So, uh, since USEC Bernardo will always be one of the respondents in many of these cases, so the jurisdiction is with the Sandigan Bayan.
In short, Justice, you see complementarity among itong mga grupo, itong mga
Yes,
entities na ito.
yeah. And that is what the Ombudsman also acknowledged, that this will be a great help, now the work of the ICI.
Interesting. So you generally have an optimistic stand, I mean, cautiously optimistic, I would say. So Justice, pagdating sa timeline, because again, you have a couple of people, including a former Solicitor General, among others, are saying na, ang laki ng resources ng mga ito, bilyon-bilyon, bakit ang tagal, bakit yung mga diskaya, andyan pa rin, bakit nababagalan, kumbaga, yung ibang tao, or may worry pa nga yung iba tao na baka naman ang mangyari dito, delaying tactics lang, or anything like that. Do you think, Justice, before the end of the year, kumbaga magkakaroon ng Christmas gift sa taong bayan, ang itong mga IC at mga institution na ito? Will there be a bring home the bacon moment?
Well, Ombudsman Remulla said that uh, by Christmas time, they would have filed already cases against some people with the Sandigan Bayan. No? So, and of course, once you file, a warrant of arrest will be issued. No? And that would be an achievement. Uh, but I think the pace is just normal, not too slow, because you have to remember that there was a vacancy in the office of the ombudsman, no? So that was just filled up recently. So that delayed it. That's the reason why there was an ICI, because there would be a delay in the appointment of the ombudsman. But I think we're up and running now.
Up and running is a good way of putting it. So I find this discussion more encouraging kasi hindi ko alam, yung mga iba, they're more skeptical about this. But I generally agree with you, Justice. I think so far, okay naman. I think good enough.
Well,
Yeah.
with caveat, Richard,
Yes, the caveat, please. Say the caveat.
because remember, there are three kinds of respondents here. You have the Duterte group, because they are also involved, no? Whether in the last 2 to 3 years or before that, no. And then you have the uh, congressman of the present administration under basically the group of Martin Romualdez, and then you have the allies of the president. No? So we are seeing people in the first and second group, the DDS, the Duterte group, and the Martin Romualdez group. But the allies of the president, we still have to see that. But we're not really in a hurry, as long as we're seeing progress in these two groups. We will know after most of the people in the first two groups have been charged. We will be demanding that people in the third group should also be charged.
Oh, pero pwede naman, Justice, siguro salami slicing naman. Puro na mga West Philippine Sea. Isalami slice muna unti-unti, di ba? Kasi hindi naman pwede isabay na ganun na lang, di ba?
Yeah. Well, this one
Oh.
it will take time. So as long as we're chipping away, we're filing cases against two of the three groups. That's okay. But as soon as we finish with the first two groups, we should proceed to the third group.
Of course, Justice, dun sa latter part ng ating discussion today, pag-usapan natin yung concerns din natin with the Marcos administration, with the president, with the upcoming budget. Just to reassure, kasi marami mga tayo mga ka-DDS and mga other followers. Bakit puro kayong DDS? Don't worry, pag-usapan ulit namin ng administration. Since last year pa namin pinag-usapan yung PhilHealth issue, don't worry, pupunta tayo dyan. But Justice, before going there, you mentioned Sandigan Bayan. And to be honest, Justice, there are many people are saying na hindi ganun ka-reassuring din ang Sandigan Bayan. So parang salamat sa Martires situation, medyo na ano ang tao sa yung palang trabaho ng ombudsman kasi hindi ko alam anong tawag kay Martires, figurine, non-ombudsman, like parang wala siyang ginawa. So parang baka negative pa nga, 'di ba? So kumbaga kung nagkaroon tayo ng figurine na ombudsman, ngayon namulat ng tao, ito pala yung trabaho ng ombudsman. Pero dapat bigyan din natin ng attention yung Sandigan Bayan kasi parang tinignan ko yung report ng, for instance, Rappler has this report dun sa mga tao na sangkot sa ill-gotten wealth ng Marcos dictatorship era. There were like 11 or 12 victories over the past year. Parang historic high yata yung, yung numbers of victories ng Marcos cronies or Marcos regime related people. And then you had the Binay and Jojo Mar Binay and also Junior the other month. And then most recently, ito, di ba? A dozen. More than a dozen, 2 dozen, right? Hindi lang si Enrile, pati si Napoles was also vindicated dito sa latest case ng Sandigan Bayan. So in short, kung titignan namin yung latest rulings ng Sandigan Bayan, I'm not sure it necessarily inspires the maximum confidence, Justice. What is your take on that, on the Sandigan Bayan side of this equation?
Well, that's a concern, Richard, but I think we can propose because under the internal rules of the Sandigan Bayan, they can create special divisions. The Sandigan Bayan can request the president uh, to create special divisions. The special division will come from uh, the existing justices, but they will handle only these flood control projects. So we will have one or two divisions. People will know who the members are, can uh, can focus their attention watching the proceedings and following the proceedings. So may bantay, no? Uh, I think that would be the solution. Uh, the Sandigan Bayan can create special division just for these for these flood control projects.
And Justice, sinabi, by the way, dun sa issue na yan, ano naman take niyo dun sa sinabi ng Supreme Court na magkaroon din sila ng special initiative, mga court proceedings para focus din dito sa flood control corruption issues?
Well, the report that came out said that the Supreme Court is thinking of creating special courts in the regional trial courts. But I've said that most of these cases really will go to the Sandigan Bayan and not with the RTC. No, I said if special courts have to be created, it should be in the Sandigan Bayan, special divisions, because most of these cases will go up because the congressmen and the senators have a salary grade of I think 31. That's way above 27, the minimum. So the moment there's one senator or one congressman who's a respondent, that case automatically goes to the Sandigan Bayan. So most of these cases really will go to the Sandigan Bayan.
Justice, thank you so much for mentioning that. For the purpose of education of our audience, Justice, obviously Sandigan Bayan will handle yung mga cases involving mga corrupt officials among other things. Pero ano yung kumbaga yung distinction, saan papasok ang RTC or yung normal judiciary pagdating sa mga erring officials, saan papasok yung Sandigan Bayan? What is the jurisdictional distinction here, or fault
Well,
lines or overlaps?
The cutoff point, because you are talking of violations of the anti-graft law, the forfeiture law, and the provisions of the revised penal code on graft, no, on crimes committed by public officers. So these cases can fall under the jurisdiction of either the Sandigan Bayan or the RTC, depending on who are the respondents. If any of the respondents, even one, has a salary grade of 27 or higher, that case goes to the Sandigan Bayan.
So yun yung cutoff point.
Below 27, if nobody has a salary grade of 27 or higher, that goes to the RTC. So that's the cutoff. That's the distinction.
So sa madaling salita, yung mga medyo matataas na opisyales, siguro mga undersecretary, secretaries, mga ganun, mga yan, Sandigan Bayan na hawak sa kanila. Pero kung
Yes.
medyo lower level, pwede ipasok yan sa RTC.
Yeah.
At sa tingin nyo, dahil
Yes.
napakalaking lalim itong corruption na ito, malamang mga big time ang pinag-usapan natin dito.
Yes. Most of these cases will fall under jurisdiction of the Sandigan Bayan.
Interesting. So in what sense na pwede tumulong ang Supreme Court given yung cutoff point at saka yung threshold na yan, no? Threshold na yan.
Well,
Pwede ba
that's what I
magkaroon
was
ng
saying.
special measures ang SC to help the Sandigan Bayan? I don't know, like,
Yes,
mm,
the under the rules of the Sandigan Bayan, the Sandigan Bayan can request the Supreme Court to create special divisions for these cases. So they should just ask the Supreme Court to create special division. The Supreme Court will nominate who will be the members of those special divisions. One or two will be sufficient.
interesting. Yeah, exactly. Yun nga, iniisip ko nga in terms of logistics, di ba? Justice, medyo maraming kaso to. For sure, may pera sila kumuha ng maraming magagandang abogado. So you want it, gusto mo sana teamwork lahat to, di ba? So kanina pinag-usapan natin yung complementarity ng ICI, Ombudsman, Sandigan Bayan. Ngayon, tinitingnan ko rin yung complementary ng Supreme Court at saka yung Ombudsman. And of course, Justice, I would say this is a win for everyone, right? Kasi kung ikaw rin ng judiciary, this is good for you para ma-restore lalo yung kumpiyansa ng taong bayan, no, sa mga institution natin, no? Kung talagang epektibo sila dito sa laban sa corruption.
Yes, that's correct, Richard, because at this time people are really uh, the people are losing faith, no, in our government, in most of our institutions, and we have to restore the people's faith in government. And this is one of the ways of restoring people's faith in government.
So punta naman tayo, Justice, dun sa latter part ng discussion natin na mahalaga to. So dito klarong-klaro, hindi tayo selective and all. Tinitingnan natin lahat ng mga grupo na potentially involved dito or lahat-lahat ng mga grupo na potentially may airing acts. So Justice, balikan natin itong issue na to. Last year pa natin, actually 2024 pa natin pinag-usapan yung concern natin sa budget, sa PhilHealth, yung ayuda, at ngayon naman sumabog itong issue ng flood control corruption, among other things. Pag-usapan naman natin, Justice, yung 2026 budget natin. Kamusta ang kalagayan ng 2026 budget when it comes dito sa lahat ng mga virus na yan? Ay, sorry, lahat ng mga, mga mutations na yan, mga on-program funds, etc. Is this budget better than last year's budget? If yes, in which way? If not, in which way?
Well, people now are watching the this budget, and I think they will not zero zero out PhilHealth, because in the 2025 budget, PhilHealth didn't get anything. No, I don't think they will uh, reduce the budget of DepEd. I think DepEd will now have the highest budgetary allocation as required by the Constitution. But there is one important problem in the 2026 budget. They still have the unprogrammed appropriation. And in the unprogrammed appropriation, this is really a lump sum. Like in the unprogrammed appropriation, it merely says there for to support the infrastructure program of the government. So that's the purpose, and there is no breakdown of what these infrastructure programs are or projects under that program. So, but under the revised administrative code, releases uh, under the lump sum appropriation like this must be accompanied by a special budget to be approved by the president. So the president, to get a release from the unprogrammed appropriation, must submit a special budget which says flood control project in district so and so in Pangasinan, 100 million pesos. So you have to specify now the item and the amount, no? And I think they should not have this kind of unprogrammed appropriation already. They have to specify already what are the specific projects, because lump sum appropriations have already been declared unconstitutional by the Supreme Court in the PDAF cases. No? So they cannot just say infrastructure project, and it's up to the executive now to spend this in school building or in flood control, in road, in rock netting, and so on. No, you have to specify the item, the particular project, no, to be funded. So, if the unprogrammed appropriation will not be revised to specify to remove this lump sum appropriation, our group will question the constitutionality in the Supreme Court. No, and there is also a problem in the unprogrammed appropriation because right now, before you can have a release from the unprogrammed appropriation, there must be a special budget to be approved by the president. It has to be the president under the revised administrative code. What the president has done, this present president, President Bongbong Marcos Jr., he has delegated it to the Secretary of DBM, to Secretary Pangandaman. Uh, so that's why probably when he said, mahiya naman kayo, hindi niya alam na all those projects that were for flood control were
May
approved by his
imprimatur.
office through Pangandaman because he delegated that authority. He didn't know that yung pala yun, no? So, uh, and that is not allowed because a delegated authority to the president, a delegated legislative authority cannot be redelegated because the 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 power to identify the item of the appropriation, road, or rock netting, or bridge, and then the amount is a legislative power. When that is delegated to the president, he cannot redelegate that. Only the president can exercise that. He cannot redelegate it. That would be unconstitutional. But in this case, he redelegated it to the Secretary of DBM for the 2025 budget. So that's really unconstitutional. So if he does that again, we will question that.
So if you're President BBM ngayon and you're kunyari watching this podcast, what should you do? Is there a remedy? Is there a way to correct this, Justice?
Well, he should tell the president that the president has to approve all of these special budgets, and the the basic problem is these are lump sum appropriations and they should not be allowed anymore. So what he should tell the president, we have to identify now these infrastructure projects. We'll have a line item also here.
So may pork barrel pa rin tayo, Justice?
That's the pork barrel, the program fund. And ang daya dyan ganito, no, Richard?
Please, Justice.
It says their condition for the release from the unprogrammed fund. If there is an excess of collections from the targeted collections, then you can use the unprogrammed appropriation. Eh, pag
Right.
1 peso lang ang excess, there's already an excess, you satisfy the condition.
Ah,
Daya
so
yun.
yeah, you play around that. Yeah.
Yes.
You name
It
yung
should be,
system.
yeah, you can only appropriate the excess. You cannot, you cannot appropriate any amount now because of a 1 peso excess. Right now, there's a little excess, and then they say we can now use the entire unprogrammed appropriation. So they borrow the balance. I don't think we will question that also if they continue with that practice because kalokohan yan eh. Naglolokohan tayo eh. If any excess, you mean to say if there's a 1 peso excess, you can now trigger the use
Correct.
of the entire 500 billion peso unprogrammed appropriation?
Yun nga eh. Ano kayang pwedeng safeguards na gawin, Justice, para hindi yung mga ganito para alam mo, para siyang ano eh, yung alam mo yung contractualization, yung bago mag-regularize yung employee mo, i-rehire mo na naman siya ulit para wala na siyang bonus. Parang ganun eh, di ba? Yung contractualization, ganun na
Yeah.
ganun eh, yung you play
Yeah,
around the law.
they're trying to circumvent, no? But it's so obvious. So we are watching this now, and we will not let it pass anymore. If they pass the 2026 budget with an unprogrammed appropriation with a lump sum, we will question that. And the condition also, we will question that because it's really crazy. I mean, any excess, wow, that's, I mean, naglolokohan tayo. Any excess, what should be released as an amount equivalent to the excess.
Yun nga eh. Doesn't this defeat the whole point of maya naman kayo and everything we're doing right now, Justice, kung hindi nila ayusin to?
Well, it's really because this budget process is very technical. difficult to understand, so many pasikot-sikot, and and like for example in the PDAF, we outlawed pork barrel because in the old General Appropriations Act nakalagay doon, this will be disbursed pursuant to the recommendation of the congressman or the senator. Sabi namin, when I was still there in the Supreme Court, congressmen has nothing, they have nothing to do with the implementation. They just pass the budget. The implementation, that's executive na, execution na yan eh. Ang nangyayari, sila nagdidirekta kung saan dadalahin. So hindi na pwede, tapos na yung trabaho nila. But now, since we outlaw that, what they're doing, they still put it there in the, sinasaksak pa rin nila, they call it insertion now, in the DPWH, with just the understanding, oy, insertion ito, amin ito, you cannot use that without our approval. That's why you can, in the testimony of Yusek Bernardo and Bryce Hernandez, they said, they called up the congressman, boss, ito yung insertion mo, anong gusto mo? Paano natin ito, kanino natin ito ibigay? So, it's just an unwritten rule among themselves. DBM, DPWH, Office of the President, and the members of Congress. In other words, andoon pa rin yung amount, pero
Naglolokan pa rin.
wala na yung nakalagay yung upon recommendation. Alam nila, agreement natin na wag ninyo galawin yan without getting the consent of the congressman who inserted it. So, importante yung ma-insert mo na, oy, ako nag-insert nito. So, yun ang problema natin. Nagkonsyaba sila lahat. No? They cannot put that in writing because that's unconstitutional. But they're doing it in practice.
Bago tayo ma-depress, Justice, kasi first half ng discussion natin, hindi, okay to, magandang, ganyan. Hindi, naglolokan pa rin tayo na rin. Bakit nag-mutate lang itong virus na to? So, I want to end on this. Yes, Justice.
They keep on reinventing. So we have to keep on also blocking it, no? So
sabi ko, para siyang whack-a-mole. Alam mo yung game na whack-a-mole? Justice, may lalabas, ganun, malalabas, ganun. Para tayo nagwa-whack-a-mole. Magandang research and development, R&D department ng mga trapo natin, Justice. No? They can always come up with new innovations. No? So, that brings us... Yes, Justice.
That's how it is in the General Appropriations Act, in the budgeting. So we have to really, dapat tutok tayo. Otherwise, they'll be laughing all the way to the bank.
In circles around us. Ang hirap naman. Kaya sabi ko, kailangan namin ng humor. Kasi just namin nagagalit sa atin minsan. Parang, bakit sila tumatawa? Napakagaya. Sabi ko, lagay nyo naman sarili nyo sa position namin. Kung every day, ganitong topic mo at hindi ka ma-depressed, ano ang kaya mong gawin, di ba? Dark humor. Di ba? Dark humor is the best way survival strategy. But ito yung penultimate point, Justice. So ito na yung November. Ito na yung month na magkakaroon ng malawakan ng mga rally, protesta. Sabi nga ni Sec Ronald, baka nga may mga coup plots pa mangyari later this month. Ano ba ang dapat gawin ng mga ating mga kababayan, mga kababayan natin na may gusto na mas progresibo, democratic na government? Ano bang kailangan natin gawin? Are we looking towards some big rally protest? How can we pressure etong mga trapo na ito not to mutate na naman itong mga kababalagan nila?
Well, what we are doing, we will be pushing with the anti-political dynasty law through People's Initiative. No, that's really central. No, because everybody agrees that 80, at least more than 80% of the members of the House belong to political dynasties. In the Senate, at least half. No, LGUs more than 50%. So. And it's a vicious cycle because those members of Congress every year they insert a pork barrel. They use this to give ayuda so that in the next election, boboto yung tao sa kanila. And so every year they put this pork barrel and mabuti kung binibigay lahat. May leakage yan pumupunta sa kanila, no? So
Hindi lang siya leakage eh, parang
flood pala, flood.
medyo flood level justice eh. Problema sana leakage lang eh.
It's really uncontrolled flood rushing.
Ang flood control yata kailangan na. Ito yung flood control natin, Justice. Flood control sa corruption. No, ito anti-dynasty natin initiative.
Yeah, well, we have to start with that. It looks like everybody has agreed that walang mangyari kung the political dynasties will continue to control Congress, because that is how they will keep themselves in office using the pork barrel, no? And the pork barrel will always mutate. Before, merong provision diyan upon recommendation, tinanggal namin. Tapos ngayon, they just wink at each other. Oy, ito i-release na, may konting wink lang. So so most of the people analyzed this, said the root cause is the political dynasty. We have to stop this. So yun ang that's why we're thinking of a people's initiative on an anti-political dynasty law.
Yun lang.
We have to keep on thinking of this, Richard, because if we stop thinking of this, then what else do we have? What else is left? RevGov, di ba? Wala nang iba eh. So we have to use the existing avenues in the law, in the Constitution, to resolve our problems. Otherwise, if it cannot be done, the people will say there's no other choice but a RevGov. I think I still believe we can resolve this under the Constitution with the processes provided for in the Constitution.
Baka lang, Justice, pag tinanggal natin yung mga ganyan mga pork barrel, wala nang tatakbong Congress. baka wala nang incentive yung mga tao.
Well, we can have an AI to be the congressman, like in that one country in Europe. May
yung AI minister, may anak na. Oo. Kaso, paano kung Justice?
An AI Senate and an AI House of Representative. Wala pa tayong babayaran.
Kasi kung AI na yan, based on LLM ng mga kalokohan sa Pilipinas, next thing we know, mas corrupt pa yung AI.
Garbage in, garbage out yan.
Baka mas matalino pa yung AI, uunahin tayo ng AI, at saka hindi na siya ganun-ganun lang. Ako, talagang magaling yung AI, Justice, gagawin niya lahat ng mga kalokohan para ma-distract tayo, no? Baka next thing maging pro-corruption pa tayo dahil sa AI na yan. So, Justice, yun lang. Yun nga, I was wondering, actually, kung tatanggal mo yung corruption and all, but doesn't that raise the issue of election expenditure, Justice? Diba? So, inevitably, the next question is, okay, tanggalin mo yung pork barrel, so yung mga kurakot di natatakbo kasi wala na silang ROI. Pero hindi pa rin mawawala yung election expenditure. So how they address that issue?
Well, some countries have provide for campaign funds, limited campaign funds to the top 3 political parties, no? So we can do that also.
So party building inevitably will be part of that.
Yes,
We replace dynasties with real political parties. That's exactly what.
Instead of the family
exactly
looking for funds, the funds now will go to the political parties. So we're building the political parties.
Exactly. Kaya nga sabi ko, Justice, we have no choice but to modernize eh. Dahil ang dami ko narinig ng mga kaibigan natin, sabi na, hindi ubra yung mga political parties sa Pilipinas kasi gusto natin mga family, personalities. Ganun. Pero ang point ko naman, kung hindi rin mawawala yung dynasty, hindi talaga mawawala yung corruption na yan eh. Diyan talaga nagsisimula. So, the other side of the coin is you have to create modern political parties. We have no choice, no, Justice? Either it's that or we just have to do whack-a-mole with latest mutation of corruption.
Well, later on, baka wala na mapagod na tayo mag-whack-a-mole.
Mawaka tayo, mawaka-waka. Pero yun nga, na-worry lang ako sa AI na yan. Kung AI na yan based on Philippine LLM. Maging sobrang kurakot yung AI na yan. So siguro Swedish yung ating AI, no? Or mga Scandinavian, mga ganun. I-train natin sa Scandinavian modeling yung AI natin. Just, kinabahan ako dun sa AI ng congressman ng Pilipinas. Baka kung saan mapunta. Thank you so much, Justice Carby. Actually, I really appreciated this episode kasi Justice, maraming tao na nanonood sa inyo at saka sa atin dahil gusto talaga nila maintindihan itong mga complicated, supposedly complicated constitutional issues. Pero dahil sa inyo, Justice, because you're really such a maestro of you're legal, you're fine legal, you are a legal luminary, Justice, because you're a true legal luminary. Sobrang simple ang explanation niyo. So Justice, thank you so much for explaining all of these nitty-gritties and all of these complications. Mabuhay ka, Justice Carpio. And again, I'm sure people are keep on asking, Justice, how can people help dito sa initiative niyo? Kasi mukhang maraming signature ang kailangan niya. Baka mamaya ma-flood control din yan.
Yeah, we will have to ask everybody to help us get signatures. Matrabaho
Exactly.
ito.
Absolutely. So Justice, feel free to ask us and we're more than happy to contribute and help on in whichever way we want. Dahil every time may episode tayo at minimension niyo to, marami nagme-message paano sila pwede tumulong sa inyo, Justice Carpio. So, mabuhay ka, Justice Carpio. I know you're tired and exhausted ka all the time doing this, but don't worry, hindi ka nag-iisa. Andito lahat ng mga ibang kababayan natin na mahal kayo at gusto-gusto nila tumulong dito sa initiative niyo. Mabuhay kayo, Justice Carpio. God bless and talk to you soon po.
Thank you, Richard, and thank you to our viewers.
Salamat po. Good night.